What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about a lot of big years for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to take a deeper dive into some of the players that we may have not talked about that still is going to be a very important season for them. We've mentioned Ayo and his contract situation, how he's in a contract year. Same with Nikola Vucevic, same with Kobe White. We've talked about how big these years are going to be for those three players, but there are more players here, ladies and gentlemen, that are going to need to have big years for the Chicago Bulls in order to shape their own career, but also to shape the Chicago Bulls career for the years to come, the future of this team and the future of these players. So we're going to take a deeper dive into a little bit more big years for the Chicago Bulls. Maybe some of the guys people are not necessarily talking about, but it could be very big for us in the future. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below if you agree with the players that I'm going to be mentioning in this video today, and how big of a year will they need to have, not only to secure their position on this Bulls team, but to also, I guess, shape how the Bulls future will be beyond just this next upcoming season. Got to look, think of the long term here, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll get stuck into it. There's a fun fact I'd like to bring to your guys' attention. Kobe White's in a contract year, Vucevic is in a contract year, Ayo's in a contract year, but those are not the only guys that are in a contract year for the Chicago Bulls. Javonte Green is also in a contract year. He'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2023. Now, there's not many people out there saying a lot about Javonte Green, his contract situation. He's 30 years old, but he's been phenomenal for the Chicago Bulls over the last 2 seasons, and I think everybody would absolutely love Javonte Green to stay. Now, we've got 4 players basically on a contract season. Some of them will be extended before the season, probably. Maybe none of them will. But the question is, there's 4 guys. Are we going to be able to keep all 4 of them? And I think that's easier said than done, ladies and gentlemen. I think one of them will end up leaving the Chicago Bulls. And who is it going to be? And Javonte Green is a guy that not many people end up talking about in this situation. But Javonte Green is also a player that's going to need to have a big year for the Chicago Bulls, because I think he's one of those guys the Bulls would love to keep. But if there are 3 other guys, Kobe White, Ayo, and Nikola Vucevic, out playing Javonte Green next season, I think Javonte would be the one to go, which I don't think anyone wants to see happen. So he's going to have a big year for the Chicago Bulls. Bring that same energy he brought last year. Bring that tenacity that he brought last year. Obviously, that athleticism and his rebounding as a small, I guess, forward. Bring that all next year, and Javonte Green will still, in my opinion, be a fan favorite for the Chicago Bulls. But not many people are talking about him. And in my opinion, he's just as in for a big year as any of the other guys on this team. So I'd really like to see how Javonte Green fares in the next season for the Chicago Bulls. I know he's not going to probably have the same stats. He's probably not going to have the same role because he was starting a lot last year. But the energy, the tenacity, and I think the minutes that come along with Javonte Green will be the key as to whether or not he can have a big year next year, and whether or not he will be on this team beyond next year as well. It's hard to say because, again, he is 30 years old. He's only been in the league for pretty much a couple seasons. So ever since he was, 28? I think he got traded to the Bulls at 28 years old. So yeah, he's not been in the league for a massively long time. So he is one of those guys up in the air. I honestly don't know what Javonte Green's future will be with the NBA, let alone the Chicago Bulls. But we'll move on into the next one, ladies and gentlemen, because there's more than just Javonte Green. Just as much as there is guys on their contract year, and we've listed a couple of them with the Chicago Bulls. I'm sure there might be a couple more, but I'm not actually too sure. Maybe Marco. I'm not sure what's happening with Marco, but there's a couple guys on 2-year deals, and this would be important for the Chicago Bulls, not necessarily for the guys on the 2-year contracts. For example, I think the big guys that are on 2-year deals at the moment are Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan. Both of them are entering their 2nd year, and both of them are entering their 2nd last year with the Chicago Bulls in terms of their contract. Now, Lonzo Ball has a player option, so I'm going to steer away from Lonzo Ball for a little bit. I think this season should just be focusing on getting healthy for Lonzo, and we'll see what the outcomes will be once he returns. But for DeMar DeRozan, hell of a big year for the Chicago Bulls, in my opinion, because as a Bulls team, as a Bulls organization, I don't think it's going to be the best idea to leave DeMar DeRozan on 1 year left on his contract. If you see DeMar DeRozan as a very valuable player for the long term, then I think this season, if he does deliver an MVP caliber season, the Bulls should be doing absolutely everything they can to try and extend DeMar DeRozan a little bit longer. I think it's a bit of a risky game, and we're doing this with Vucevic at the end of the day as well, and a bunch of other guys, but with DeMar DeRozan, the way that he played last year, it's going to be a big risk if we decide that we're not going to re-sign DeMar DeRozan in the second last year of his contract and leave him to go on his last year, because that's when the temptations from other teams start to come. That's when other team and other players tamper to try and get DeMar DeRozan into their team. You can't say it doesn't happen. We've literally seen it happen over the course of so many years in the NBA. Tampering is the thing, whether we want to, I guess, agree with it or not, it happens. Tampering is a big problem, and other teams will look to persuade DeMar DeRozan to their team. Now, I'm sure DeMar DeRozan loves the Chicago Bulls, and I'm sure that he'd want to stay here if we're continuing to be successful. But all things considered, it's a risky game, and if I was the Chicago Bulls and I see DeMar DeRozan have another MVP caliber season, I wouldn't want him to go on a 1 year type deal, because when we trade him, if we have to trade him, if we're forced to trade him, we're going to be trading him for not a lot compared to what we can do, and you're going to be losing a really good player here. So it's a big year for DeMar DeRozan, and it's going to be a big year for the Chicago Bulls, and they're going to have to make a big decision on him. But he's another guy where if he delivers on the court once again, the Bulls, in my opinion, should be doing everything they can to extend him for a little while longer. But we'll move on from DeMar DeRozan, and Lonzo Ball, to be honest, and we'll go to Zach LaVine. This is a big year for Zach LaVine, not necessarily because of the money or the contract. He's got all that. He's a max player. He's got his max contract. He's got 5 years. I even think he's got a player option as well. Zach LaVine is sorted financially and contract-wise. However, the reputation behind Zach LaVine now is going to be critiqued a lot heavily than what it was prior to his other contract. His other contract, everybody thought was a very friendly contract. It just was. It was $20 million for 4 years. He was coming off of an injury and everything like that, but all things considered, it was a very friendly contract, and we all liked that about Zach LaVine's contract. However, he's got his respect financially that he wanted. He's got the contract that sets him up for a very long time for the Chicago Bulls, and if he does well, he could very much get another big contract after this. But if he fails to deliver max numbers, or if he fails to prove he's a max quality player, which people are already calling on about Zach LaVine, saying he's not a max contract player, if he fails to deliver that, his reputation will go downhill, and there'll be a lot of Bulls fans, in my opinion, that will turn on Zach LaVine. Now, I don't want that to happen. I don't know if I'll be one of those guys that will end up turning on Zach LaVine, but if he fails to deliver, that is going to be a big arguing point, saying he got paid a lot of money and he's not delivering on the court. So that's a big year for Zach LaVine. And obviously we don't want that to happen. So Zach LaVine is going to have to perform on the court. I think that's the only way to really get out of a situation like this. But there will be the occasional people, whether he delivers or not, that will just say he's not a max contract player. But if he delivers on the court, I think the majority of the Bulls fans will get behind Zach LaVine and support him despite the contract he is on. So congratulations on that financial success, Zach LaVine, and getting pretty much the financial gain that he wanted. And now it's time to prove that he was worth the contract that we gave him. It's a big year for Zach LaVine for that, because all it takes is 1 year, and everything that was built, the positivity that was built around keeping Zach LaVine, can go downhill. It's a very dangerous game that we play there, but I'm very, very optimistic about Zach LaVine. Last but not least, this is not a player, ladies and gentlemen, but this is our coach, Billy Donovan. I think this is a huge year for Billy Donovan for a variety of reasons. One, Billy Donovan is entering his third year for the Chicago Bulls. Now, the third year, I think he's on a 4-year deal. So this is his third year out of 4. So this is the time where usually if coaches are going to get fired or sacked or whatever you want to call it, this is probably going to be the year that Billy Donovan will end up getting the sack, or he'll continue his reign with the Chicago Bulls. Because unfortunately, it is the business side of things, but we paid a lot of money for Billy Donovan. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. And I never really saw Billy Donovan getting fired last season or the season before that, because he's just entering his reign as the Chicago Bulls head coach. Now, he's 3 years in. This team is going to be the same. So if there is a really significant downgrade, the Bulls will have to make a big decision. Will they fire Billy Donovan, or will they decide to give him another chance beyond this year? And not only that, it's a big year for Billy Donovan as well as to whether or not he wants to be the Chicago Bulls head coach. Because after this year, he's on an expiring deal as well. If he does very well this season, and next season the Bulls want to extend Billy Donovan, that's going to be a big year for himself, because he could probably get more out of the Chicago Bulls, and he might want to stay here, but he might not want to stay here as well. So it's very, very important. Guys that are on 2-year deals, whether it's the coach or the players, are also going to be very important for the Chicago Bulls, because I think they're going to want to extend these players as much as they possibly can. And if Billy Donovan does well, I see that being no different. I see the Bulls wanting to extend Billy Donovan beyond his final year on his deal, and that's going to be an interesting side. So it's a big year for Billy Donovan. Can he deliver on the court? Can he deliver the high coaching that we need? Can he get this team working together in cohesive unity? And can we be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference? Because if we can, Billy Donovan, in my opinion, is going to be a guy that a lot of people would want to stay here as well. So far, it's very mixed on Billy Donovan. A lot of people like Billy Donovan. A lot of people think he's just not good enough to really get us to the next step. Billy Donovan's going to have to prove a lot of things to the Chicago Bulls fans. And if he does prove that, then it's going to be big, because a lot of people would want him to stay. And I guess he has all the power in his final year as well. So, big year for a lot of these guys. Let's wait and see what the outcome will be. I'm sure not all of them will be positive and all of them will stay with the Chicago Bulls. Again, we've got 4 expiring deals. We've got 2 players on 2-year deals that we would probably want to extend, 2 very big players. And we also got a head coach that could potentially be in for a very big decision as well. So it's not all going to be sunshines and rainbows. I can almost guarantee it. But as many good things as come around as possible, and hopefully by the end of this season, we'll know all those answers and we'll be happy with all those answers as well. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.